my name is Eula and welcome to Eula's English Country again. And English book to read today is Magic Treehouse Stories, Thanksgiving on Thursday. And we can at the start if we're at chapter 6, Good Work. And today we have just one book, so that means we'll read 2 chapters, okay? So that means we'll end up reading at chapter 8, okay? And now, are you ready for this 1 book and 2 stories? And now here we go. And first we can read Magic Treehouse Thanksgiving on Thursday, chapter 6, Good Work. Let's start it reading now. Good day, Priscilla, said Annie. Good day, said Priscilla. She walked to them. Did you fill the basket with eels and clams? Not really, said Jack. The eel didn't want to get caught, said Annie. And the clams lived to be so old. We didn't think it's right to take their lives. Priscilla laughed. Her sad eyes sparkled. What strange children, she said. But you both look wet and cold. Would you like to come to my house and warm by the fire? Yes, said Jack and Annie. They washed off their feet and pulled up their shoes in the stockings. And Jack picked up his bag, and Annie picked up an empty basket. Would you like some of my popcorn and squash in my basket? Said Priscilla. Oh, thanks, said Annie. She took some corn and squashed it from Priscilla's basket. And perhaps you would like to carry the pumpkin? Priscilla said to Jack. Sure, said Jack. Sure, said Priscilla. I mean, indeed, said Jack. He felt relieved. Now they wouldn't have to go back empty-handed, and Jack wrapped his arms around the heavy pumpkin, and Annie carried the basket. They floored up Priscilla back to the village. The pilgrims and a van dog were gathering in a wide, dark street. Women were baking bread in an outdoor oven. Some boys were setting wooden planks on the berries to make tables. Mary, the little girl, was carrying a basket of water. Sancho sat smoking pipe with a chef mascot, gathering breadfruit and the captain's sandwich. And Jack hoped that Mary wouldn't ask him about the clams and eels. He hoped Sancho wouldn't ask him about the Captain Jonah's mead. And he hoped the government captain wouldn't ask him about home. He hid his face behind that flat pumpkin, and Priscilla opened the door in a small house. And then she led Jack and Annie to a dark, smoky room. Oh yeah, Annie, take the basket with a lot of vegetables, and Jack, take the pumpkin. Look, and the pumpkin is very big. So Jack will be very heavy, but Annie will be down because the basket with lots of corns and vegetables will be a little bit nice. Now, let's start it again. And the only light came from one window in a fire. Sit by her, said Priscilla, so your clothes can dry. Where are the herbs? Annie asked, looking around, and Priscilla laughed again, shaking her head. There, where the fire lies, she said, and Jack put a pumpkin in a bag, and Annie put her basket. Her hearth was so large, Jack hardly had to stood in it. He and Annie got close, then they could in a warm crackling fire. A serving pot hung over to the fire. nearly at the pots, and a turkey was roasting in a iron rod. The Thanksgiving turkey, whispered Annie. Cool, said Jack. The very first Thanksgiving turkey, he died. Would you please start a corn pudding while your earth's dry? Said Priscilla. She pointed to the pots. Indeed, said Jack. And Priscilla took a wooden spoon out of a jug of the water near the hearth. She gave to Jack, and he put into a thick, bubbly pudding and stirred it. Oh, this corn pudding will be very nice. It looked very yummy. I must gather nuts, said Priscilla. While I'm gone, move our roots close to the ashes and stir herbs of seafood chowder. Indeed, said Annie after Priscilla left, and he looked at Jack. What are roots and herbs? She said. Look in the book, said Jack. And Jack took a research book. Annie took a research book from Jack's bag. She looked at roots, read aloud. The Pilgrims called a cassin vegetables roots. These vegetables, such as a carrot and turnips, and grow under the ground. I think the roots are there's a lot of vegetable growing on the ground, and carrots and turnips grow under the ground, so such as carrots and turnips grow under the ground. Oh, so that means, I know. Said Jack. He picked up some carrots and turnips. Carrots and turnips in a hearth and moved them close to hard ashes. Next, Annie looked up the herbs. She read aloud. A Pilgrims can lofty vegetables that grow above the ground herbs. And they made a salads with the herbs, and they used dried herbs to flavor and scoops in the seafood chowders. Wow! Jack saw some dried plants hanging from a rafters. Oh, but Jack and Annie are making a pudding, but why they need herbs and roots? I think it's not for the pudding. Or maybe Jack and Annie are making a salad too, and a pudding for the end of the eating the dinner. And Jack tried some plants hanging from the rafters. Who must be the herbs, he said. And Annie broke up and lifted and sniffed it. That smells good, she said. She leaned close to one of the pots. And that must be seafood chowder. It smells like the ocean. She crumbled a leaf into a chowder, and she took another spoon from a jug of the water. She and Jack both stirred pots. Good work, Priscilla, as she stepped back to the room. And Jack smiled. The fire had made him hot and sweaty. The smoke burned his eyes, but he didn't mind. Finally, he felt useful, and Priscilla put some bonnets to a fire, and Sanko tang that was witches nuts are good to eat, she said. Sanko, do I eat a lot, said Annie. He saved our lives, Priscilla and said quietly. Last winter was cold and hungry. Half people died. Annie gasped. How? She said. Sickness, said Priscilla. Fever to my mother and my father and my brother. Eyes were bright and tears. No smoke and the sound of the cracking fire in the room was Annie in an arm around Priscilla. We're too sorry, said Annie. Yes, we are, said Jack. Thank you, said Priscilla with a sad smile. A terrace is a terrible winter, but we never gave up a rope. And now we'll be proud that we have a good harvest and we have a piece of our neighbors. And in the glow of the firelight, Priscilla was beautiful, Jack cried. Not only she kind, but incredibly brave as well. Come, she said. She wiped her eyes and stood up. Something special is about to take place. Would you like a watch? Sure, indeed, said Annie. And she and Annie jump up and follow Priscilla outside. Now, chapter 7, Arm Earless. Oh, what are Priscilla doing outside? Priscilla led Jack and Annie away from the village to the large field. At a pilgrim's, the Wumping and man was already gathered there, and Jack could hear a bit of a drum, but he couldn't see what's going on. Make a haste or we'll miss it, said Priscilla. Miss what? said Jack. Said Annie, and the captain Standish is about let the man and boy, said Priscilla. It was an actress about arms. Why do the actors their arms? Said Jack, and she expectantly joined in. He hurried after Priscilla to the crow, and Jack practiced. And he screeched his arms wide outside, and he made circles in the air. And then he flapped his arms to the ground, and Priscilla cried inside of him. What earth are you doing, Jack? She said. Exercising my arms, he said, and Priscilla smiled. He made a start to laugh, and she laughed and laughed. So did Jack, but it wasn't a sure way. A loud bang came on the field. Jack jumped and stopped laughing. A puff of smoke rose into the air, as was the crowd padded, and Jack saw program man and the boys proudly holding up long guns. What happened? Said Annie, and the man fired their muskets, said Priscilla. On special oceans, they have to show off their arms. Oh, thought Jack, now I get it. The long guns and muskets, which are also called arms, string arms means firing muskets. Jack broached, and Priscilla must have seen sign. I thought he died, but he just smiled at him fondly. I think of making me laugh, Jack, she said. I'm not laughing a hard of a long time. Jack chuckled as he make her laugh. It is time to now to serve at our feast, said Priscilla, and I must help with the bread. What can I do? said Jack. Return to my home, said Priscilla. Take the turkey up the spread and a platter and bring the table. Oh, great, she said while up a turkey. Said Annie, I always have the turkey at home. Good, said Priscilla. May I fill my home just today? And Jack was excited too. He and Annie were about to serve it the first turkey with a first Thanksgiving. They ran back to the smoky house and wanted to rush inside. Where's the platter? Said Jack, who, looking around, he was a flat wooden block. That must be it. And Annie picked up a wooden plate. Now, what should we get the turkey on it? She said. They moved close to the fire and start the turkey roasting in the iron road. That must be the split, said Jack, and the split sat on an iron legs. It had a handle, and Jack pushed his into glasses into place. I'll lift the split, she said, and then we will push the turkey onto a plate. Be careful, said Annie, and Jack reached and wrapped the fingers around a rattle of an iron spit. Ow! He shouted. The handle was super hot. She yanked it hot away and knocked over split their heads. And their turkey fell out of a fire, and a ridge from a turkey split it and popped it. And the bird was in a flame, and the fire roared. Ah! Yep, Jack and Annie together, they jumped in the back of the earth. And Jack grabbed the water in the floor. He drew the water to the fire. A fire size and smoke billowed up. And the fire had cleaned. The fire was out, but the turkey completely black. Now, chapter 8, the feast. And now tomorrow we'll be reading chapter 8, we can have the student at chapter 8, the first and the other reading at chapter 10, okay? And now, thank you for coming to my YouTube, and did you have fun? Here's English Conjure. Come back with some this book, but not the story because it might be a new chapter to read. Now, please thumbs up my YouTube, and now, bye for now and happy Monday!